Hi everyone, welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here in Denmark today for a little chat about yarn and knitting. This week I don't have any finished objects. I do have some rather significant progress on my shawl. I have a brand new cast on. I have a Christmas in July related giveaway. And I have a knitting tip for you, a rather extensive knitting tip. I am going to walk you through exactly how to knit the t-shirt that I'm wearing today. This is a sweater that is heavily inspired by and very loosely based on the Fern Forest from Drops. So, my shawl. My reflection shawl. These shawls, for me, they're not just a knitting project. They're a spiritual practice. I knit these shawls with intentions, with reflections, with prayers. This version is a celebration of summer. I have tried to put everything summer into it. The colors here are inspired by the peonies from our garden. And the other side is really interesting. I did tell you last week how I wanted to add something that is relevant to this particular summer. Our trip to Bornholm, the island where my mom was born, the most beautiful place in Denmark, with the black and white smoke houses, the long sandy beaches, and the rosehip that is everywhere. So I did. Last week I wasn't sure if I wanted to actually knit stripes or if I wanted to do some embroidery like I did on this version of the shawl. Here you see I just mirrored the stripy section with some embroidery, but I decided no, I want full-on stripes. That of course meant that even though I maintained the same stripe sequence, this is not a really cohesive shawl. It's like two shawls in one, which that doesn't bother me because I am going to wear them like this, either with the peony side showing or the Bornholm side showing. But this one is much more coherent in the all-over impression of the shawl. But I am loving my summer shawl. I am setting my intentions for the best summer ever. I am helping myself to remember how I want to be in this summer, what I want to put in to all of these beautiful days that lays ahead. And as you can see, I have made a lot of progress. Last week I hadn't even started the stripy section, so there's been knitting. Yeah, see, Misa looks up on it and she's like, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. She has. There's been a lot of knitting. I don't have very far to go, which is kind of sad, but you know what? I do have my next reflection shawl ready for me to cast on when I have to part with this one. The pattern is almost ready. It is planned to come out next Friday, and I will be giving you a discount code. I haven't decided on the code yet, but in next week's episode, there's going to be a discount code for this shawl. So it feels weird to be sending my little baby out into the world, but I'm sure that I will be very proud once she's standing on her own 2 feet. The only other thing I have been working on, I haven't touched any of my other whips, but I have been working just a little bit on the unicorn sweater for my grandson. I think I told you last week that my little grandson, Victor, he came up to me and said, Grandma, I really, really want a sweater, a light blue sweater that is very, very soft. And then I want a unicorn on it, a pink and purple unicorn. He's not afraid of colors, the little one. So, of course, I had to get started on a unicorn sweater for him. I am just following the pattern for my family sweater. That's my go-to pattern for anything just straightforward and simple. In the family sweater pattern, there are some Estonian braids going over the yoke. I have omitted those because we need a unicorn here on the yoke, of course. I am going to duplicate stitch the unicorn. I'm not doing it, Tarsha. But yeah, I expect this to go by pretty quickly. It's a size 6 years, so it's a kind of a tiny sweater. And the yarn is actually a very easy yarn to work with. It's the Drops Air. It's a blow yarn. So if you look at the strand of yarn here, you can see that it looks like it's really loosely spun. It's not. It's loose fibers that have been blown into like a sock tube. It's very easy to work with. It's a little bit heavier than the yarn that actually I wrote the pattern for. This is an Aran weight, but I am knitting it to a DK gauge just because I like when I'm making sweaters for little ones, and especially for Victor, who's a very active kid. I like the fabric to be quite dense so that little fingers and sticks and stuff it just doesn't poke through all of the time. So this is definitely a second priority. All of the other whips need to just take a back seat for now. I want to spend the final hours with my reflection shawl, and then I want to work on Victor's little sweater. I'm still not sure what a unicorn looks like. I've never met one, which is kind of sad. I haven't decided what kind of unicorn I am going to put. But for sure, I have found Drops Air in a purple and a pink, because that was the colors that he wanted. Those are real unicorn colors. I definitely agree with him. But yeah, that is the extent of my knitting this week. I mean, being so focused on one project makes for a rather boring podcast. I apologize, but yeah, I was going to say sorry, not sorry, because I don't knit for the podcast. I podcast because I love the community, and I'm sure that you will be able to bear with me when I sometimes dive into one project and just knit on that. This week, I have decided to do a little giveaway. Maybe as a thank you for sticking with me through this shawl kick that I have been on for quite a few weeks now. I've noticed that a lot of people are doing Christmas in July. I thought I'd be doing Christmas in July. I thought I'd be knitting my Christmas socks that I started last year in December. But I don't feel socky right now. What I am going to do is I am going to do a Christmas in July giveaway. I am going to give away this beautiful project bag, and it's not Christmas themed. It's just a beautiful, beautiful bag from the maker Knitwear by Maki. I am going to link her Instagram profile in the description below, because that's where she sells all of her bags. She do international shipping. So if you're interested, I can really recommend her bags. I use them all of the time. In this bag, I have put a little kit for a hat, because for me, hats are beautiful Christmas Christmas gifts. So a skein of yarn that I dyed quite a while back and a little pom-pom to go with it. Just a fun little gimmick, a Christmas in July thing. And also I thought it went so very well with this beautiful bag. So I'm really excited to be giving this away to one of you. All you have to do to participate is leave a comment on this episode. Then you are entered to win this beautiful Christmassy set, so you can get a head start on your Christmas knitting. And now for my Fern Forest. I'm wearing one version. I also have the version that I'm currently working on with me so that I can show you some of the details as I walk you through how to make it. I know that if you don't have any plans to ever make this tea, you're probably gonna leave me now. Stay safe, and I hope to see you next week. But if you think that you want to make this summer tea, maybe you want to grab a pen and some paper and you can write your own pattern. I am going to look away from the camera. It's going to look like this. I do have my notes in front of me and it looks a little weird when I look away from the camera, but I can't remember all of these numbers. So from time to time, I'm going to be looking away. I'm going to give the instructions for how to make it this size. My size, I was going to say. But it is very, very easy to modify the size. I'm also going to talk about that as we go through the sweater. To help you know if you need to subtract some stitches or add some stitches, I will say I am a soft medium. Typically, I'm a medium size. I do have a rather large bust circumference, 100 centimeters. That is around, I think, 40 inches, something like that. I am average height, 171.5 centimeters. No idea what that is in feet and inches, but the average height. I do have a very short torso. Everything is squeezed in on me here, which means that my sweaters are typically shorter than what most people would prefer. This one I even knit as a short t-shirt. You can see here, my natural waist is here. This is my natural waist, so it just goes just below my natural waist. So maybe you want to knit it just a little bit longer, but you know what? It is knit from the bottom up, which makes many people think that you can't try it on, but you can. You can pull it over your body and you can pull it up and say, okay, I want my armhole to end here, and then hold it there to see, is it long enough? You're the one who decides how deep your armholes are gonna be in the end. Also, you can take a sweater, preferably one with a sleeve like this, a sleeve that is just added on, and measure how long is the body on that. Are you happy with that size? That will give you some good numbers. I do recommend a bit of ease. As you can see, I have quite a bit of ease on this, just so that the lace and the cables doesn't overstretch. So a little bit of ease is recommended. I used drop spell for this version, and if I am remembering correctly, I had to dip into the 7th ball. Usually 6 balls is what I use for a summer tea, but I do to think that I had to dip into the 7th. I'm not sure though. The other version here, I am knitting in the Pima cotton from Cascade. Still loving that yarn. I haven't even added the second skein, have I? Yeah, I did add the second skein. So this much I have separated for the sleeves. So this much knitting is what, 1.5 skeins, something like that. So just to give you an idea of the yardage that you're gonna need. I chose to work this on needles size 4.5 millimeters. I think that's a US 7 because a 4 millimeter is a US 6. And that's what's usually recommended for this DK weight cotton linen viscose blend. But I decided to just go up a needle size to make sure that the fabric would still be drapey. It wouldn't be too stiff because it's a summer tee. I wanted something that was airy, something that I'd be able to wear even when it's really warm. I like the fabric that I created, and I am quite a loose knitter, so maybe you want to test to see if you need to go up all the way to an 8. I don't know. I used a 3.25 millimeter for the ribbing, and I actually also have fewer stitches here for the ribbing than I do for the body. Even though it falls pretty straight, it doesn't cinch in or anything, but cotton is not very, it doesn't have the elasticity, the bounce. It's not going to pull in, and I was afraid that if I didn't cast on fewer stitches than I needed, then perhaps the ribbing would start to do almost an A-line shape. So let's see, I cast on 200 stitches and I knit about 3 centimeters of 2x2 ribbing. Then I changed to the larger needle and I knit 1 round just knitting, where I increased 36 stitches, just evenly distributed, well, kind of evenly distributed over the round. So I had 236 stitches. I knew from the beginning that I wanted a single stitch to separate front and back. I wanted that in both sides. So I subtracted that, and that gave me 117 stitches for the front, the same for the back. Then I wanted to figure out what to do with the stitch patterns here. In the original, you are working real cables, which is fiddly, but I mean, it's doable, but it also cinches in the fabric and makes it thicker, which is not what I wanted. I wanted something very light and breezy. So I substituted the cabled sections for my own cabled sections, where I used faux cables. So the lace pattern here is from the Fern Forest. You need to look at the pattern. It is a free pattern on their website. So for this section, I used the pattern. It's 13 stitches. Then I made my own cabled sections, which are also 13 stitches. And you can see them here. They consist of 2 purl stitches, 3 knit stitches that are worked as faux cables, 3 purl stitches, 3 knit stitches, and 2 purl stitches. So you have this these 2 cables separated by 3 purl stitches and with 2 purl stitches on either side of them. So for the first round, you maybe want to use some stitch markers just to get you started. Very, very soon you'll be able to read your knitting, but in the beginning it can be a help to place stitch markers between each of the sections. What I did was I made a cabled section, a lace section. I did that 4 times. So cables, lace, cables, lace. And then after doing 4 repeats of that, I added an extra cable section. So you can see it on the sweater. I have the cables, the lace, cables, lace, cables, lace, cables, lace, and an extra cabled section. I did that because I wanted the stitch patterns to be symmetrical over the front and the back. After the last cable section, I knit 1 stitch, the 1 knit stitch to separate front and back, and then I repeated the whole thing for the back side. And then I just knit. If you don't know how to do the faux cables, they're very, very easy. You have the 3 knit stitches. On every 4 rounds, you do the faux cables, and you do them by slipping 1 stitch, knitting 1, doing a yarn over, knitting 1, and then passing the slipped stitch over the 3 stitches on your needle. That's gonna look like this. So you just knit, you continue up for as long as you want. I knit for, let's see, 23 centimeters, which is around 9 inches, a little bit more than 9 inches, maybe 9.5. That is a short sweater, and I will say on this one I did knit just a little bit further because for this I need something high-waisted. So I decided I'm gonna make one that is slightly longer so that I can also wear it with the shorts that I have that are not high-waisted. But you decide, and as I said, try it on, decide where do I want my armhole to end, or measure on a sweater that you already own and love. When you have reached the desired length, you separate front and back at the 1 knit stitch. You can see it done here. What I am doing is for one part I am bringing the knit stitch. You can see the 1 knit stitch here. I have brought it into the back that I am knitting here. When I start knitting on the front, I'm gonna add an extra stitch here because it just makes for such a neat finish before you pick up for the sleeves. So I make sure to have just this 1 little knit stitch. The back, you just knit it straight until your desired length. For these sleeves, I have knit 16 centimeters. They're a little snug, but they're not overly tight. But you can always measure your upper arm to see what size sleeves do I want. For the front, I only knit 8 centimeters so that I had the other 8 centimeters to shape the neckline here. What I did for the shaping was I bound off this middle cabled section. Just bound it off and worked 1 shoulder at a time. Then I decreased 1 stitch on every other row until the lace section here was decreased out. And then I knit straight until the front had the same length as the back. And of course, I repeated the whole thing over here. The shoulders are stitched together like this. Then I picked up stitches in the neckline. I picked up from the right side, and then I knit from the wrong side so that my purl stitches were showing. The purl stitches were the front of the neckline. And I think maybe did I only knit one round, or did I knit a couple, maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and then I just bound it off. And because I turned it around, the edging is going to roll in rather than out, which is a look that I really like. It looks really clean and neat. For the sleeves, I just picked up stitches on the front and the back and knit the sleeves in the round. For this particular size, 65 stitches all around was correct. What I do when I pick up stitches is I will either pick up 3, skip 1, pick up 3, skip 1, or I will pick up 4, skip 1, pick up 4, skip 1. A little bit depending on how loose do I want the new thing that I'm picking up stitches to be, and how are the stitches laying. I actually think for this one I did 4 stitches, skip 1. But you can play around with that and find out how your stitches are going to lay smoothly. And then of course you want to make sure that your patterns are distributed. You can of course knit the sleeves in just these faux cables. That would look nice as well. But what I did one section of cables, one section of lace, cables, lace, and then cables again. You can easily play around with that. I will say, if you want to make your top larger or smaller than mine, for the body, I would definitely either take out or add to the cable sections here on the side. And for the sleeves, I would take out or add to the cable sections on the arms. That's going to be pretty simple. Of course, I wouldn't recommend you do this if you have never knit a sweater before. Maybe you want to have 1 or 2 sweaters under your belt so that you have a basic understanding on what knitting a garment should be like. But there is nothing difficult in this top. Nothing at all. The lace is very, 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 very simple. You can omit the bubbles. I have knit all the bubbles on this one. I have omitted them on this one. Just substituted an extra knit 2 together and a yarn over. I love the look of the bubbles. They're so playful. They make me smile. But I didn't have another bubble in me after knitting this. There's a lot of bubbling going on, but that is completely up to you, of course. But yeah, that is how to knit my version of the Fern Forest. Very, very simple and easy construction, and also a very easy knit. But of course, a knit that demands some attention because you are doing all over patterning. So you need to look at your knit, at least from time to time. I think that was it for this time. If you stuck with me to the end, thank you so much. I will be back next week announcing a winner of the Christmas in July giveaway and also giving you a discount code for the reflection shawl. Hopefully there's gonna be a little bit of progress on some other whips than just reflection shawls. That is my intention, but we shall see. Until we talk again, stay happy, stay safe, and keep knitting.